Bitcoin pulling back today after charging above 8,000, now hovering below those levels. The cryptocurrency, however, still more than double its price from the beginning of the year, sitting at its highest level since August, up over 30% in just the last week. This as the crypto industry's annual consensus week gets underway right here in New York City. So can this latest Bitcoin rally hold? Coinshares Chief Strategy Officer Meltem Demirors joins us now. Meltem, great to have you with us. Thanks for stepping away from consensus to join us.
Great to be back.
Are you counting the Lambos this year? Is Snoop Dogg going to show up? And what kind of conference is it going to be this year?
No Snoop Dogs, but a lot of great progress being made. And the story this year, if last year was all about these speculative new tokens and protocols, this year the narrative is Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. So it's great to see a return to Bitcoin, and everyone's feeling good. We're seeing signs of life, and there's a lot of confidence right now.
What has happened to narrow the field down to Bitcoin so much? Because just a year ago, it was all about every single coin on the planet.
Exactly. So I think, look, last year we saw this crazy speculative bubble. I was on the show a few months ago. We talked about the depths of the crypto crisis. I think a lot of people initially looked at Bitcoin and said, oh, it doesn't scale, it's not fast enough. And everyone tried to create new coins that had different features they felt Bitcoin didn't have. And they learned it was really hard to do that. What we saw in the meantime was many institutions who had spent the last 2 or 3 years learning about Bitcoin started to understand it, and they started to actually build platforms and products that touch Bitcoin directly. It's the largest asset by market cap. It's the asset people know best. It has the biggest brand name. And most importantly, the Bitcoin network is the most secure network. As evidenced this week, Microsoft, which had been working with Ethereum for a long time, has decided to move all of its identity work onto the Bitcoin network instead of another implementation of a blockchain.
So the pickup in price in Bitcoin seems to coincide with what is going on globally in terms of the trade wars, just questions about global growth. Is that coincident, or is it a factor in Bitcoin's rise?
Look, I don't think we can ever say there's a direct relationship, but I think there are 3 main themes going on. Number one, there's a lot of global macro unrest. There's a lot of volatility in the market. Times have changed. This is not 2018. The end of 2018 was rough in capital markets. Now we're seeing a lot of volatility in tech stocks. And so Bitcoin is starting to look maybe not so crazy to investors. Second big theme, privacy. Privacy, privacy, privacy. It's everywhere. Big efforts on the Hill, especially with the new privacy regulation coming, breakup of Facebook potentially, people talking about Apple antitrust suits. So that's another big theme. And I would say the last one is what's happening in private markets. We've seen a lot of tech IPOs that haven't performed the way investors have expected. So again, the idea of a new asset class, the idea of Bitcoin connecting with legacy finance is really appealing to a class of investors looking for innovation and high growth.
Okay, and last question, because we've seen this rise in Bitcoin just very recently. I mean, it was sort of in this crypto winter for quite a long period of time. And during that winter, there was a lot going on the Bitcoin blockchain network in terms of institutions choosing it over other networks. And so I'm curious, does the price of Bitcoin, will it still go higher or not? Because it seems to move independently of what is actually being built on the blockchain.
I think a lot of it has to do, so the price of Bitcoin corresponds with inflows into Bitcoin, and the more people buy it and choose to hold it, the better it is for the price. So 2 big things, Square, which is the primary way that retail investors have accessed Bitcoin. Let's be honest, Bitcoin is very friendly to retail investors, not so friendly to institutions yet. That's changing. They've seen a doubling quarter over quarter of the amount of Bitcoin bought on their platform, 65 million this last quarter. So more and more people are buying and holding Bitcoin. We see it in our products. Through the crypto winter, even though the price went down, we didn't lose many customers. We had mostly holders. So people want to hold.
Meltem, thanks so much. Great to see you again. Meltem Demirors.
Thanks for having me.
Chris, what do you make of the Bitcoin chart?
Well, I think when we look at the picture, we got to remember where we came from, down 85% last year, up 160. It's perfectly reasonable to take a pause here. I looked at the 6,500 level as a good area of support, but I think this is about speculation. It's about risk assets. It's probably a pretty good signal for the broader market that it's up.